We're back with you now on Wave Listens Live for our third segment today. Of course, we love to welcome Cornerstone Wellness Center here and Dr. Doug Kane, who is talking all things neuropathy with us today. Good to see you again.
Great to be back.
Let's start to kind of do an overview, because you never know who is out there who hasn't gotten a chance to hear from you before, and there's always important pieces of information in there.
Absolutely. We always love to educate the first-time viewers. So what neuropathy is essentially, just in the simplest form, is the nerves aren't communicating to the brain properly. They're not, the nerve endings aren't firing like they should. This can affect any nerve in the body, but most of the time what we're dealing with is nerves in the feet, and then the second most common is in the hands. So if you think about that, they're at the end of the extremities. And so why there? Well, those areas are the farthest away from the heart. So it has, it's got to be pumped farther, the temperature's lower, the pressure's lower, and so the nerves just don't get the nutrition that they should. They don't get the oxygen, don't get the nutrients, and so they just they become dormant after a while. So, and the biggest causes for that, the number one cause is diabetes. That is absolutely the lion's share. Probably 70–75% of the patients that we see have diabetes. Chemotherapy-induced neuropathy. The chemo can damage the nerves. As I've said before, that's how I got involved with this, because my mother is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. Orthopedic problems. So that can be anything from back injuries or joint replacements, hip and knee replacements, low back surgery, obviously foot injuries and so forth. So we kind of group all those together. We can see chemically related neuropathy. So we have, like say, farmers with a lot of the pesticides that they have to deal with, as well as, we'll have veterans that have been exposed to Agent Orange, exterminators, and the stuff that they use. And then alcoholic neuropathy. Too much alcohol, too many years, that can affect the nerves as well. And, it's not... Most of the patients who we see have a combination of these. For instance, earlier this morning, I was working with a Vietnam veteran. He was exposed to Agent Orange. He was a paratrooper, so he's got some spinal injuries over the past, and he's diabetic. So a lot of our patients have multiple issues going on at the same time.
I know that the symptoms are a main reason that people would contact you. They say, I don't want to live with this anymore. But there's also, you've talked about balance issues. There's a lot of reasons why, if you're suffering from this and there could be relief, that you should try to get it taken care of.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and the conventional wisdom has always been, and this is how I was taught, and this is the answer I would have given if you asked me about it 8 years ago, is there's nothing that can be done for neuropathy. You're just going to have to learn to live with it. We hear that all the time. Almost every one of our patients mentions having said that before, or having heard that from their doctor before. Excuse me. So, but that's changed now. I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we come here and we tell everybody about it as often as we can. Is things have changed. There's new technology. There's better protocols, and so instead of just masking the symptoms with medication, we can actually help reverse this, and in many cases make it go away entirely.
I think for anybody who has stepped outside today or the last couple days, the seasons have basically changed. So, whoa, it's a lot colder than it had been. That switch seems to have taken place. You hear about it with other chronic conditions. People will say, whether it's pain, oh, I feel it when it's going to rain in my knee, or I feel it when the cold kicks in. So for those folks who are suffering from neuropathy, does that change by the season as well? Do they feel it more in cold months than they would in summer?
Well, yes and no. It depends. Now, there's a couple of different things in terms of the seasonality of neuropathy. Is you see the symptoms we were talking about there on the screen. A lot of pain, a lot of numbness, a lot of tingling. But the ones that affect temperature, so they'll either feel like their feet are on fire or like they're just absolutely frozen. Well, obviously the people who feel like their feet are extremely cold, winter's usually worse for them. My mom was the other way. She felt like her feet were on fire, so she would go out in the winter and stand on the concrete porch barefoot to try to ease that pain a little bit. But in terms of the seasonality, what we often see is, as we're going through the holiday season, we may have an opportunity to spend a few hours with maybe an aging family member that we've not been in that much contact with throughout the year, and so we get an understanding of what their decline in health has been like, and maybe they need some more help, and they will encourage them to do something. And then oftentimes this gets referred to flu and cold cold season. What it really is sugar and carbohydrate season.
Right.
And so, we start with Halloween, and then we go right into Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then we got Valentine's Day, so we got, chocolate on both ends here. But yeah, all that sugar just drives inflammation, and at the very base of it, neuropathy is a whole body inflammatory process. It's just the symptoms end up in the extremities, like we spoke of earlier. So yeah, we do see some spikes in that this time of year, and of course we wash all that good food and chocolate down with a little more wine, or we're in bourbon country, so there's a little bit of that, and so alcohol will affect that as well.
You talked about, we know that during the holidays we're going to spend more time around loved ones. If we have a family member who's aging or maybe suffers from one of the conditions that we talked about as on the symptom slide, is there anything that we can do as a support system to help them, to make the calls to someone like you to get the help that they need?
Oh, absolutely. I would say the first thing to do is just, if you've heard this information, you can't unlearn that now. Right. So knowledge is power, but like Einstein said, the rest of that quote is, but nothing changes until something moves. So in other words, pick up the phone, call the number on the screen, go to our website there that's on the screen as well if you want to see other testimonials, many of which took place right here on this set, because we'll bring patients in from time to time and get them to tell their story of how neuropathy has affected them and how our treatment protocols can help reverse that and ease that pain and discomfort and get your life back. And that's the big thing, literally within 90 days. We have the ability to change someone's quality of life, get them back on their feet, get their balance improved, get them to where they can have a good night's sleep, because that really affects, the covers just touching their feet cause so much pain and discomfort that they seldom get a good night's sleep. So we can help with all of that.
You talk about that 90-day mark. By the time the weather warms up again, you could be back to some of the activities that you love that you haven't been able to participate in for as long as you've been suffering.
Absolutely. Something as simple as playing with your grandchild, or going to basketball or volleyball games, family vacation, all that type of stuff. We want to be able to see people get their quality of life back.
Well, we thank you for being here today. We're popping up the information one more time. Cornerstone Wellness Center. If you've been suffering from neuropathy, there is something you can do. Make that call, and Dr. Kane can hopefully help you on to being symptom-free. Good to see you as always.
Looking forward to help. Thank you.
See you guys tomorrow.
Paul Winton and Heath Stanton. Real lawyers, no gimmicks.
Celebrating the good news in your community.
It made me feel so happy.
That's Positively Wave, brought to you by Ivy Tech Community College.
What do you talk about? The news? Sports?